Welcome back everyone, how are y'all doing today? I'm Oolong, the main test player for the game Fair. Today we at the Fair channel are bringing to you our second song over for Booster Set 1, The Gathering of the Nation, Dragons from Aerzon. Dragons are first introduced in the trial song Crimson Flame with the ace creature, Arezon-Dragon Revon, taking the lead role in its playstyle. Said playstyle involves increasing the power of your creatures through various effects in order to surpass any god your opponent may use. In Set 1, this playstyle is supported by the addition of more cards that can increase the power of your creatures, along with the increased number of cards joining the Crimson archetype, allowing for more synergy with their skills. Other cards have also been added that allow for an increase in draw power and defensive capabilities within the song, meaning if needed, the song can survive well into the late game if played properly. This song has many varying builds it could have, but as a guy who loves to draw cards, it would only make sense for me to show you all a mid-range power song as it ends with an attack of overwhelming power, forcing out plenty of guard when a safeguard or trap is available, and draws plenty of cards in the early games to set up for those end turns, and have many different ways to lead to comeback situations. This song performs its best in the mid game, but don't just take our word for it. Let's get started and see what we have here. Some variation of Crimson Dragon based songs have over 15 level 1s, and others only have a mere 8. Our song here's the latter, but of what they are, all we need is 8 creatures. The first one, and arguably one of the most strongest level 1s coming out of set 1, if not the strongest, is Crimson Armor. He's a level 1 dragon with 50 power who can be discarded during either player's attack phase in order to increase the power of any battling Crimson creature by 50 power. While 50 power doesn't seem like much, especially with shield value being the exact same, this skill is one of the strongest in the game when used at the right time. Defensively, if you give the power up to a creature whose power is only 50 off of being even, say for example, Michael's Heaven's Advent versus Crimson Dragon Revon. When you use the effect to make Revon's power 250 instead of using Crimson Armor to guard, then both creatures will be destroyed since you didn't guard. So even though you will still lose your Revon, your opponent will also lose their creature. Win-win. Offensively, if Revon is attacking a creature with even power, you could use Crimson Armor to raise your power past theirs, or wait for your opponents to guard and then increase your power to break through it. And don't forget you can use Crimson Armor more than once. Crimson Armor is an incredibly powerful card for both offensive and defensive that works as a mind game against your opponent. And trust me when I say it, it's one of the most annoying things to deal with. I've faced it plenty enough to know that. For obvious reason, Crimson Armor is an easy and well-deserved 4th in this song. Our other level 1 comes as our safeguard, Young God Dracokid. He's a dragon and like other safeguards has 50 power and can be discarded from the hand when your opponent attacks in order to nullify the attack. Since you have 2 powerful cards you want to protect at any cost, having a card that can nullify any attack is a nice addition to the song for defensive purposes. You can use the Gamble Safeguard, Defensive Gamble instead if you like the aesthetic of the human type more, but we wanted to use Young God Dracokid as a 6th to the overall dragon theme of the song and has synergy with a card we'll go over later. Needless to say, regardless of which one you run, the safeguard is an obvious 4th. Like I said earlier, this version of Dragon acts as a mid-range power song, meaning the level 1s will act more as support for level 2s and 3s that take care of the game with decimating power that crush even the strongest and widest of fields. Quite literally. Now it's time to talk about level 2s, and we'll start with the creature that is the cornerstone in the aggressive version of this song, and a card that allows us to help maintain control of the making as it's transition to the end game. Crimson Dragon Rider. Crimson Dragon Rider is a level 2 dragon knight with 100 power, who though doesn't fall into the dragon typing, he does fall into the Crimson archetype, which is just as important. With Crimson Dragon Rider, as long as he is on the field, any other creature in your field with Crimson in his card name will get 50 power. In the aggressive build focused on playing 20 of level 1s, this acts as a perfect creature to bring out the full board of 150 power creature. However, in this song, like mentioned before, he serves as a way to seamlessly transition the mid-game to the end-game, as he can increase the power of Revon to 250, which doesn't seem like much at first, but once you play a second one, over at 150 power as they increase each other with their skills, over half 300 power, meaning it can now save the attack over any creature at the risk of being destroyed by battle. And as you probably had Revon on the field for so long at this point, you'll most likely have enough defensive cards to defend your Crimson Dragon Rider through the endgame. Following that, like Revon, he's also a target for Crimson Armor. If the song emblems involves having plenty of Crimson named creature present, then Crimson Dragon Rider is more than worthy of having 4 slots to himself. Now following Crimson Dragon Rider, of course I have to put in my ace creature, the strongest of all level 2s, and the strongest card in this song, the almighty Hammer Dragon.
Hammer Dragon responded to my calls. We are bounded together by fate. We are each other's half. He is my flame.
Hammer Dragon is a level 2 dragon from the Aerzon trial song with an amazing 150 base power, stronger than most other level 2s with 2 very strong abilities. The first one can be used by paying 1, which will give Hammer Dragon an extra 50 power for his turn, and it is in a once per turn, meaning as long as you have to pay, he can keep using the ability. For example, if you have 7 pay and use 4 of them on Hammer Dragon's effect, he'll gain 200 power for a total of 350 power for the turn, make him stronger than even the joint strongest creature in the game, Ruin Maker Droid and Michael's Heaven Admin, with some power to spare. And even after all that, you still have full pay left over to use for gift check, spells, runes, and other effects. His second bit is the main reason he's here, and the main reason he's my ace creature, which lets you draw 1 card whenever he destroys an opponent's creature in battle, or deals 1 damage to your opponent with direct attack. It's an amazing ability as it's basically meant that if Hammer Dragon attacks hits at all, you will draw a card, consistently putting pressure on your opponent as long as Hammer Dragon stays around, without 150 base power to boot, unless your opponent's forced on a level 3, Raphael, What's the Healing, Cost of Phantom, Wizard Dark Card Tiresias, or their own Hammer Dragon. They won't be able to get rid of this creature without dropping more than a few cards to do so, with ability increases their own power far beyond that of being the strongest level 3, apply draw pressure for its attacks, and has one of the highest base powers for level 2. This creature is 4th in the song for a good reason. And there's are many more cards to come, some of which will combine well with Hammer Dragon and allow his strength to shine brilliantly. Now onto our level 3s. This song only has 1 level 3 and it's the only level 3 we need. When Hammer Dragon can't get the job done, it's up to the song's ace creature to close out the match and hold down the fort. The powerful ace creature of the trial song, Crimson Flame. It's a level 3 dragon, Crimson Dragon Whip. While it's obvious that Hammer Dragon is here for his trial power, along with his flexible ability to change his power while also being only at level 2, Revon might be a questionable addition as he actually removes hand cards for his ability to activate it is a level 3. Meaning that until you summon it, you can't normally summon another creature. But trust us, he's here for a reason. Firstly, Revon, like other level 3s, have a base power of 200, meaning unless the opponent uses card to destroy him or plays a few cards that can then handle the attack over him, such as Ruin Maker and Michael, he won't be going down so easily. He can act as a wall against Arezon and even other powerhouses, giving you time to build your hand and draw your other creatures for counter plays. On top of that, Revon's actual ability is no joke either. When you pay 2 and discard a card from your hand, you can reveal a creature from your hand and add its power to Revon. Although discarding a card from your hand isn't ideal, especially if Revon is meant to stall so you can build up your hand, Revon can gain a vast amount of power in only 1 usage of his ability. For example, let's compare Hammer Dragon. Although level 2 starts at the deficit of with 50 less base power, he costs less than only 1 pay. Next say you pay 4 for Hammer Dragon's ability, and then his power will become 350. Revon on the other hand, while yes needs a card of at least 150 power in your hand, can reach the same number for half the pay in 1 more hand card. Not to mention Revon's power gain is not a set number, so if you reveal another Revon, then he'll gain 200 power for the turn, setting him to 400. Overall, while yes, Revon is mainly here to be a wall that isn't easily overcome, he can also be used as a powerful body that can blow through many defenses that don't use as a safeguard, and he acts as a perfect target for Crimson Armor as his high power already forces out plenty of guarding power, meaning every attack your opponents make on Revon and every guard they put up against him has to handily have an extra 50 power shield behind it to guarantee Revon can't surpass it. Crimson Dragon Revon is a powerful creature, it's a nice 4th in this song to wrap up the creatures. Now that we covered all the creatures, let's move on to the spells. First up, let's go ahead and get out of the way this song's strongest spell, Rage of the Dragon. Rage of the Dragon is one of Aerzon's best spells, as by paying 3 you can give 1 dragon creature on your field the ability to attack all your opponent's creatures at once in 1 battle. Thanks to this spell, you can create powerful bullets in a single well-timed strike. As for guard against it, your opponent will have to defend each individual creature, meaning if you attack 5 creatures at once, then your opponent has to guard at least 5 different times in order to keep their field. And since each battle is counted as its own sub-battle, all of them will deal damage to your opponent at the end, and even if there's a creature stronger than yours, the others will still be destroyed, and damage will still be dealt even if you lose your attacker. If you combine this card with creatures that can gain plenty of power such as Crimson Dragon Revon, or one with powerful on-hit effect like Hammer Dragon, the deadlier this card becomes. With the aggressive force this spell adds to the game, this card is an easy tool since you don't want to see too much of it in a song with plenty of pay cards since they become a brick. Though again, with its powerful effect, you can definitely increase the spell to 3 in place of the next one. Speaking of that next spell, following the powerful Rage of the Dragons, we have the Consistency Maker Dragon's Call. Dragon Call is a neat one as you can discard any number of cards from your hand in order to search your song for a dragon creature with a level equal to the amount of cards discarded and add it to your hand before shuffling your song. This spell allows you to turn your brick cards or one that is useful for the situation to fodder for searching that can become Crimson Dragon Revon, or Hammer Dragon typically. Though on some occasions it can be used to add safeguards into your hand or even Crimson Armor. With the way to search strong cards that can turn the tide in the game in an instance within a song that has plenty of drop out, it's fair to say Dragon's card deserves the 3 of slots. But again, if you want to move this to 2 copies and put Arezon-Dragon at 3, it would make sense. Our last spell is another Trial Song card. It's definitely one of the best combat cards. Again, as Ezel, he loves that card. Dragon Wings. With Dragon Wings, you discard a card from your hand or draw 2 cards. A very simplistic spell that gains benefit while not costing any pay. In fact, it doesn't have a cost in general. Yes, you may be questioning getting rid of types in the comments. It doesn't have a cost, don't you have to discard one? And to that, we, or Ezel specifically, proudly say nope. How this card works, as he likes to remind us when he gets a chance to use it this way, since it doesn't have an actual cost and the discard is a part of its spec, you can play this while it's the only card in your hand, bypass the discard since it happens before the draw, and then draw 2 cards anyways. It's a living definition of an anime move, as you can go down 0 hand cards and come back from nothing. With this song in particular, this perhaps the way to get rid of bad cards at the moment and draw better ones, but if you play a more aggressive version of the song, the ability to come back from 0 would be greatly appreciated. Being such a powerful and versatile spell makes it an easy 4 for this one. That's all of our spell, focusing on either drawing more cards or increasing offensive capabilities, which means now it's time for the traps. I have many different options to choose from when making this song, but through deductive reasoning and experience against said different traps, I settled on 2 for this song can excel with. The first is Frame Shield. It's a generic trap that allows you to nullify the next damage coming your way as long as you pay 2 and discard 1. Although paying 2 on a single card can be expensive, this card can stop any damage no matter how much it is or when it happens, such as a last minute damage trigger that will decide who wins and loses. Plus, this card causes the heavy and a song with plenty of draw power, so I think it's safe to say it's nice to have this at 2 copies. Something important to note though is that Frame Shield only nullifies damage from a single battle, meaning if you play in a mirror match and get hit by Arezon-Dragon, you'll only be able to nullify the damage from one of the battles, not all of them. The second trap is a very powerful generic one, Frame Crash. When one of your creatures is destroyed, you can destroy creatures on your opponent's field equal to your destroyed creature's level by paying 4. It's a very powerful effect as you can take down 3 cards at once if your opponent destroys your Revon, but it comes at the hefty cost of 4. And as someone that uses most of his pay on increasing powers for attack, you pretty much have to change your game plan for a turn in order to use this card. But seeing as it can destroy so many cards with ease just by using 1 creature, it's easy to see why we recommend you have 2 copies of this in your song. After our trap comes our runes, both of which continues to the song's playstyle but also works well in tandem together. First on the list we have Strength of Aerzon, a rune from the Trial Song Crimson Flame. Although from the Trial Song, like other cards we pulled from it, this rune is not one to sleep on as it has no maintenance cost or unplaced cost, and by paying 1 you can give all your creatures on your field an extra 50 pounds to the end of the turn. Now while an extra 50 pounds doesn't sound like much, the point you need to remember is that this ability is not once per turn, meaning as long as you have pay, you can use this effect, as this card essentially acts as a hammer dragon that can buff the whole field in a song that wants to make your creatures as strong as possible. It's an easy choice for me to put all this one at 3 copies. As for the second rune, as one that can draw cards, is my personal favorite, Heart of the Dragon. This rune, like Strength of Aerzon, has no maintenance or place cost, meaning it's incredibly easy to splash into your song. As for effect, whenever your creature with at least 300 power attacks, you get to draw 1 card. While drawing 1 card doesn't sound like a lot, remember, it's per copies, meaning you have 4 of them on the field, you draw 4 per attack. As for 300 power, that's where Hammer Dragon and Crimson Dragon Revon come in, where they can increase their power to 300 and beyond, allowing you to get some easy draws when they attack. And even when you don't have those 2, or you have multiple of them on the board, and on the ways to pay, only shrinking 1 through them, you can use Strength of Aerzon to mass increase the power of your board. My advice for this card is to be careful with how many you play and how much you draw, because the lower you get on song cards, the more self-destructive this card becomes, as that means you can't increase your power past 300 in order to avoid drawing cards. But as for me, that is no risk, as I do not fear song out, so it's an easy 4. And with all the other cards out of the way, it's finally time for the triggers. As it had already been made clear with the rest of the song, I love to have hand cards, the more the merrier. So it's no surprise that for this song I have 5 draw triggers. Having a base shield value of 100 is nice to have, as it helps to deal with rush songs, early onsets, or the high powered attacks of mirror match, but it also allows you to fill up the hand whether it's gift checked or damage checked. And as for me, I damage check them a lot. I tend to see 3 or 4 every game back to back, and since there are no restrictions on max amount of draw triggers you have, I believe 5 is the way to go here. Finally, we have our hero triggers, having a shield value of 150, and are almost guaranteed to stop plenty of aces in their tracks that they attack warrior creatures such as Hammer Dragon or Revon. With the hero triggered, when they're gift checked or damage checked, they can let you, as the name implies, hero card your damage on as long as it's not the newly acquired hero trigger. This makes them both helpful defensively when you draw them, but also great recovery options when they appear in gift or damage checks. The recovery effect sadly works against us as we tend to lose all of our song cards by turn 10, but its defense power is incredibly incredibly helpful against high powered attack. Hair triggers at most can only be won at 5 copy cells, so if our draw triggers taking half the tree lineup on its own, it's only fair for the hair triggers to do the same and come in at 5 copies. And that's the overview for our set 1 Dragon Song Crimson Nova. As you got to see during the video, the cards I choose increase the hand well and have the power to deliver strong and devastating attack. Like I said before, against a player who knows what they're doing, our song art is a likely possibility, but when used properly, it won't go down without a fight. Some suggestions we have for other possible cards you could run are damage triggers and praise of the heal triggers to increase offensive capabilities at the expense of god power as your main way of winning by dealing 10 damage. You also run more level 1s like Crimson Dracokid to best take advantage of Arezon-Dragon's offensive prowess, like you can use Crimson Dracokid to give a Crimson creature, such as a Revon, the ability to deal 2 damage per battle, while it's targeted by Arezon-Dragon, meaning if it strikes a full field, then you can deal 10 damage at once if none of the attacks are guarded. For now though, that's it for me. Once again, I'm Oolong, the main test player for the game fair, and both I and the rest of the fair team hope you enjoyed this video. See you on the next one. Bye!